commander on duty that night. He was the kind of guy who was always thinking ahead. After hearing the weather report earlier, he'd ordered his men to erect tarps and wind blocks behind the 2 MPD vans. They'd put down outdoor carpet over the snow already on the ground, then run extension cords and put lights up as well. A gas-fired construction heater had been brought in and was blowing 200,000 BTUs as members of his team sorted their gear. And he had an extra pair of black tactical boots and wool socks. "You certainly know how to prepare for a blizzard, Adam," I said, sitting on a bench inside the makeshift shelter and changing socks. "Raised in Duluth by a father who loved ice fishing," New said, shrugging. "You have men already deployed?" I asked. New confirmed that he had several men set up at different distances and places around the Nicholson's house. The snow made it impossible to put our people on the roofs of the adjacent homes, the ideal locations. But he had men trying to track down the absentee owners to get permission to enter their homes. That way, the officers could take up window positions where they might be able to peer inside the Nicholson's residence with binoculars or thermal imaging systems. New also had heavily armored SWAT officers constantly circling the house along the perimeter of the property. They each carried a Sig Sauer P226, a high-powered rifle with precision location. "Shouldn't those guys be set up to snipe?" McGoey asked. "I have enough," New said, "and FBI research has shown that moving men keep the perp off balance, sometimes confuses him into revealing himself." "Floor plans?" I asked. "Ramiro's got a copy inside," New said, and we entered the van on the left. Detective Diego Ramiro, another friend as well as a hostage negotiator with far more experience than me, was one of 3 people in the van who were speed dialing the landline inside the Nicholson home and the cell phones belonging to the doctor, his wife, and the wife of Congressman Brandywine. For all we knew, Fowler had seized all phones. For all we knew, Fowler enjoyed the nonstop ringing. That's just how variable and bizarre these family hostage situations can be. Ramiro, a thickly built guy in his early 50s, punched off his own cell, looked at me in extreme frustration, and said, "Alex, we can't do a goddamn thing if this son of a bitch won't pick up his phone and talk to us." I'd worked with Ramiro before. He wasn't one to lose his cool. Then again, like me, like everyone there, he wasn't home on Christmas Eve. We were all stuck in a blizzard, waiting for a lunatic to answer the phone. I said, "How long have we been calling Fowler?" Diego flipped through his notepad. "We started almost an hour ago." McGoey said, "That's when Fowler was real chatty about who he had in there and what kind of guns and ammo he had." "Keep talking to him," I said. "Leave messages, every single time." Ramiro nodded, gave the order to the others. I sat there listening for several moments, wishing to God I had more information on Fowler. What had taken him from a life as a wealthy attorney to this desperate hour? I'd no sooner asked myself that question when Ramiro waved his finger at me and McGoey, then hit a button on his mobile. It was connected wirelessly to speakers inside the van. We heard a woman's muffled voice, noises, and then a whimper. We held our breath and stared at the speakers as if they were video monitors. "Mr. Fowler," Ramiro began, "thank you for—" Gunshots exploded on the other end of the line. The Christmas horror show had begun. Or maybe it had just ended. Chapter 6. Damon stood on tiptoes on a wobbly kitchen chair. He was sweating and trying very hard to hook a delicate, antique angel to the top of the Christmas tree. "I'll get a stepladder. Get up there myself," Nana Mama said. "I don't need a stepladder, and I'm certainly not letting my 90-year-old great-grandmother use one," Damon shot back. "You're just lazy," Nana Mama declared. "Your father raised you like that, or are you majoring in that subject at that fancy prep school you go to?" Damon didn't know whether to be angry or start laughing at the fact that she was busting his chops like this. At last, his fingers secured the angel to the tree with a piece of ancient white lace Nana-Mama said had belonged to her grandmother. "There," he said, jumping off the chair and looking at the old woman. "A little applause?" "For what?" his great-grandmother asked. "For getting the angel up there?" "Oh, that," she said. "You'd have gotten me that stepladder, I'd have done it myself a lot quicker." "And broken your hip," Bree said as she began packing up the ornaments and lights that had not made the tree this year. "Thank you, Damon. She looks beautiful up there." Nana-Mama sighed, said, "I don't understand why the top of the tree is always the last thing we decorate. It should be the first, so the angel can look down on us while we decorate the tree. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?" Damon didn't reply. No one replied. No one except Nana-Mama had felt much like talking since Alex left. But Nana just kept going. "Jenny, what do you think?" she asked. "With all due respect, Nana," Jenny said, "I think that you think that if you keep talking, we'll forget Dad is out on a case and might get hurt on Christmas." Nana walked to Jenny and hugged her tightly. "You are one smart girl, Jenny. Smart women run in this family." Damon rolled his eyes. Bree smiled slightly, and Nana tried her hardest to snap back into her sensible self. She said, "That Alex. He's my fault. I admit it. I didn't raise that boy right. If I had, he'd never be foolish enough to go out on a nasty case on Christmas." Again, nobody said a word. Then Bree looked up from her packing and said, "Listen, it's pretty obvious that Alex won't be home for a while. Maybe quite a while. So, let's just make the best of it. Merry Christmas to all." Ava added, "And to all a good night." Nana tried to smile, but her eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she choked out. "A good night. Please, dear Lord, let it be a good night." Damon melted, went to his great-grandmother, hugged her, and said, "It will be, Nana. I promise you, it will be." Chapter 7. The sounds of the 6 rapid-fire gunshots rang in my skull. 6 hostages, I thought. Was it over? Were we looking for bodies? And then we heard the hysterical cries of children.
"Daddy, no!"
They were quickly drowned out by an angry and ugly voice blaring over the speakers in the van.
I could have taken out every one of these sad excuses for humanity. Each and every one of these sad pieces of shit. But I didn't. You know why? Because you don't unwrap your presents on Christmas Eve. You wait until the high, holy day of consumerism to do that. Isn't that right? Well, not this time, folks. I just unwrapped them all.
Fowler started laughing like a happy madman.
"Please, Daddy!"
A girl's voice sobbed. Chloe Fowler.
Please what? Please don't shoot Barbie, Daddy. If you shoot Barbie, who will Ken love, Daddy?
A male voice was then heard. Dr. Nicholson. You're terrifying her, Fowler. She's your own daughter.
No.
Fowler snorted derisively.
Is that right, Barry? You know everything, don't you, Barry? Mr. Optometrist, fucking cash flow doctor of the year?
A gun blasted. We heard glass breaking and more crying. Fowler was shouting.
See that? See that, Mr. Optometrist? Shut the hell up, Mr. Optometrist, or you're gonna look just like everything else under the Christmas tree. Oh, Tannenbaum, oh, Tannenbaum.
Mr. Fowler! Ramiro yelled into his phone.
How lovely are thy branches.
Fowler sang, and then he stopped. We heard footsteps. The phone was picked up. Fowler whispered,
"What did old Henry the Magic Man and his magic wand take out, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Anyone? Anyone?"
He paused. McGoey, New, and Ramiro glanced at me, confused. Before I could even think about how to interpret Fowler's ravings, he said,
"Aw, let's see. A nice new iPad. Got it right in the apple. And here we have what used to be an Xbox Connect. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, plaintiff should be thanking me, not suing me. Now my idiot sons will have more time for homework. And my ex-wife's Tiffany bauble. I mean, come on. Have you ever seen such overpriced crap? There ought to be a law against Tiffany and Nordstrom. I mean, look at that beautiful blue polo sweater of Barry's. Cashmere does not stop buckshot now, does it, ladies and gentlemen?"
Fowler stopped talking. All we could hear was his rushed breath, and I wondered if he was on drugs or drinking or both. "Hey, Mr. Fowler," Ramiro said calmly, carefully, almost softly, the way they teach you in the FBI courses about hostage negotiation.
"Who the hell are you?"
"My name is Ramiro. I'm glad to hear that the people you've got in there are okay. That's good news." Fowler exploded.
"What are you, another whiny-ass cop? These people in here are not doing okay, Officer Whiny-ass. Once the sun rises and all the Cindy Lou Who's down in Whoville have sung their song, I'm gonna blow their heads off once and for all."
The children began to cry again. Ramiro glanced at me. I made a downward motion with my hands. "Stay calm. Do everything calm." "I understand what you're saying, Mr. Fowler," Ramiro said. "How about we talk? Work things out." Good, I thought. Calmly engage him. Establish common ground.
"You some kind of hostage negotiator?"
Ramiro hesitated. Not a good thing. He said, "I'm just a guy who wants to hear what you have to say, Mr. Fowler."
"Tell it to the jury, whiny ass. I'm never talking to you ever again. Ever."
Click. Chapter 8. Outside, the wind began to pick up, slashing the snow sideways. The lawn in front of the Nicholson's house had disappeared beneath the 3 inches that had already fallen. "How do we handle this guy, Alex?" Ramiro said. "He sounds psychotic." "Or wasted on something stronger than pathological rage," I said. Adam New was on the phone with Congressman Brandywine, assuring him that as far as we knew, his wife was still alive among the hostages inside. I studied the notes I'd jotted down after Fowler hung up, trying to see some kind of pattern to his ravings. He'd talked to us as if we were the jury and he were arguing his case in civil court. He admitted shooting the Christmas presents. He called his ex-wife's husband, Mr. Optometrist, fucking cash flow doctor of the year. He clearly loathed Barry Nicholson. He clearly had deep-seated money resentment. Called Christmas the high holy day of consumerism. Ranted about Tiffany. He had even referred to Cindy Lou Who and Whoville from the Grinch story. Was that how he saw himself in some deluded way? As the Grinch? I tapped on the notebook and realized something. I hadn't heard the 2 women, had I? Maybe one there, right at the outset before Fowler started shooting, but from that point onward, no women's voices at all. Were they dead? No, he would have made a reference to shooting them. So they were there, but not talking. Why? So they didn't disturb? "Alex," McGoey said. I looked up. The detective handed me a computer tablet. Said, "Guys downtown just sent over the file on Henry Fowler." New got off the phone with the congressman. The three of us used separate tablets to scan through the police reports, psychological evaluations, and clippings that Henry Fowler had generated on his way to a hostage standoff.